Hello, Abigail here with another wax reading. This wax reading is messages from past, future, present versions of yourself. Also, so this is interesting. I'm just gonna let you guys know. So I actually recorded a whole half of a reading, and then for some reason the camera wasn't on, which is crazy because it never happens. This is a timeless reading, but I'm recording it under a Mercury retrograde. So typical Mercury problems. Not a huge shock, but frustrating. And I did a divination prior to this one, and I pulled up a past life reading, and then once I realized the camera wasn't on and got over my frustration, which thankfully I have an Aries Mercury, I moved pretty fast. I redrew, and it's still kind of a past life version message, but it's also this idea that, with like, if you believe in like quantum physics, like everything's happening all at once, and there's also future versions of ourselves that already exist and past versions of ourselves that already exist. And so this idea of like perpetual motion when it comes to the existence of the soul, and the soul is so much more expansive than we understand in our human condition. And so this reading, they are cosmic messages from your soul, and it includes the past life version, it includes the future versions, it includes your highest self. So all of the versions here are included and going to come through. Now, to tell if this reading is for you, we are going to do an energy check-in. I'll set the candle off to the side, and we are going to shuffle and ask about who this reading is for. Boop. Instant communication. We have Daughter of Cups, so Page of Cups, Mother of Cups. My deck turned around again. Oop. The Sun. It's really interesting because I did a whole other thing, and also this card actually came through in that reading too. But the energy is slightly different. The energy is much more hopeful in this pick a pile. So I don't think you necessarily have to be hopeful, but I think there's more hope than you know in this moment. We have the Ten of Swords. Oh, look, we have all the cups. We have the Father of Cups. Yes, these are all the different versions of you. So for the people who are here for this pile, you do sense on some level the kind of multi-dimension nature of your soul. You also are seeking out, whether you know it or not, you've been seeking out an emotional and a spiritual connection with multiple versions of yourself. I think at the end of the day, this is about you and your journey. And I think you are ready to move forward boldly and bravely. However, you are struggling a little bit with the overwhelm, with the pain. We have Seven of Wands, the Mother of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles. And actually, Three of Pentacles was the first card I drew for the last read, the failed read, that in air quotes. And it feels like there are multiple versions of you that are wanting to connect. You might be feeling as though there's some kind of tug on your psyche from spirit, from the universe, and you're just not able to decipher said messages. But this group is a group that really wishes to shine, that really wishes to be seen in all of their glory, and who in this moment are kind of struggling to get there and wondering if the path that they're currently on is the wrong path because of the blocks and the limitations that they have experienced. However, there's a part of you that is incredibly hopeful and incredibly forward moving, but in this moment, there is a lot of doubt and there are a lot of fears about being on the wrong path or wasting your time or not feeling connected to your purpose, like knowing kind of what your purpose is, but it's not working out, and so you're now doubting it. And with Three of Pentacles, it feels like your purpose is more complex than just one past life mission. Your purpose is attached to so many other parts of your soul and parts of your experience. And so I encourage you to kind of open up your definition of purpose. We also have the Judgment. It's my favorite past life card. The Mother of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords. Yeah, there's a lot of fear around doing the wrong thing, around not being on, oh, look at the pull in the bottom deck. I was about to be about not being on the right path. I think you are on the right path. you are just experiencing delays. Also with the Judgment card, you are experiencing some kind of final moment, some kind of ending before stuff shifts, before we move into the Sun card. And while the fears that you are like feeling are well grounded, like, yeah, things don't seem to be working out with the mother, all these mothers, the Mother of Cups, Mother of Wands, Mother of Pentacles, you really have to ground down and connect to your intuition. Because even though the rest of, like, you might be able to see with your eyes and you're like, things are not going well and I don't see a path moving forward, there's a hidden inner part of you that knows the path forward and knows the way forward, but you're not going to be able to rely on your eyes or rely on like what is presented to you in the physical realm. Yeah, and I think some of you feel this, but there's like the fear. Many of you are on the verge of a breakthrough. You're on the verge of a huge shift. And this kind of 10 of Swords, 7 of Wands feeling is that feeling that you feel right before you go over the edge of something and you move into something new. And so this reading is for people who are ready for change, who are looking for answers and for guidance on their journey, and want to hear and to integrate this kind of cosmic message from the multiple versions of self. Yeah, you guys are like, I'm at the end of my rope, Abigail. When is this going to change? When are things going to get better? We'll answer these questions in the reading. We also have the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. You know, you've been doing things alone. So there's also a question about community and companionship. Doesn't have to be romantic, you know, can be for some, but like companionship. And also, I've been getting this in reading so much. I keep getting the High Priestess and the Hermit, and they are two different sides of an astrological axis. The High Priestess is Pisces, and the Hermit is Virgo. And so you are on a deep spiritual journey and you're at a point where you can't see much hope and much light. But with the Sun card and the Nine of Cups, there is a breakthrough coming in, and we are going to talk about it in the reading. But if you are someone who's ready for a breakthrough, who wants to have confirmation that they are on the right path, and who has been actively putting in the work, don't have to necessarily be in therapy, but you need to have been processing your feelings and working through stuff. And also, I think not all, but some of you are actively using a magical practice, which is where some of your frustration is coming from because you haven't gotten the results that you want. Now, even if it's not magical, you have been putting in effort and things haven't really panned out. So if that is you, this reading is for you. I am going to clear this and get everything ready, and we will get into your reading. See you in a bit. Hello, we are back. The water is ready. The candle is ready. I'm going to get this baby lit for the second time. The way my little heart dropped when I was almost done with that reading, and I realized, but you know what? There's a reason that we're getting this, and those messages are not wasted. They are out there in the cosmos, and we will see whatever message comes through this time as well. Interesting that the wick is bent down in that way, or bent up, holding it. So starting off, we get kind of a figure here. They are wearing some kind of crown, some kind of sign of power. It feels like there are versions of your past life self and of yourself that have had positions of power and success, and there is a dissonance in your current experience because I sense a lot of you feel powerless. And there's also a bit of, it feels like dissonance also with past life versions of yourself because they had so much power and they had so much privilege, and you're in this lifetime with less than that, and it feels like you've gone backwards, and it feels as though maybe you're failing in this lifetime. And I want to assure you that you're not. You just have a different path and a different lesson to learn. Now, I don't think the path is like not having power. I don't think you're going to necessarily be a queen or a king. But I think you're going to have power in your own right. And I think one of the lessons that you are learning in this lifetime is that you have to re-understand power. And you have to learn the differences in various kinds of power, and to unpack systemic power and what success means for you. And it doesn't mean that you're failing, but it means that your soul has shifted its perspective, and you're kind of grappling with that as a multidimensional being. And there is a greater emphasis on your happiness and your comfort. And you're like, Abigail, I've experienced no happiness and comfort. I said it's a shift. I didn't say it's happened yet. I also find it interesting that this is shaped like a Christmas tree. Now, you don't have to celebrate Christmas for this to apply, but it feels like there's some tradition. There's something your soul has always done is something your soul is not going to be doing in this lifetime. And it's kind of been hard for your spiritual side and your earthly part to kind of understand the difference that is happening and the difference that is coming in. So what they're kind of telling you is like, yeah, this is a transition life. This is a lifetime where we are shifting gears, where we can't rely on everything we've relied on before. And it does make this a bit more difficult. Now, doesn't mean that you aren't going to get anything. Doesn't mean that you um, are now doomed to not have success, but success is going to be different in this lifetime. Success is going to come from you processing and figuring out what success means for you. We also have a little squirrel here with that kind of idea of like digging around for nuts. It's almost like, you know how like squirrels forget where their nuts are. It's like you have obviously forgotten your past lives, or most of us have. And now you're having to dig around to discover those themes and those things in order to help the soul progress in a new way. You can't just go on autopilot anymore. You can't just go around through life in this lifetime like ignoring what is important to you and what you need to have, or ignoring what is, good for the collective. You also are being asked to take into account what other people need as well, not in a self-sacrificial way, but it's just like understanding the whole is a theme of this lifetime. What else? There's also just a recognition that this has been a difficult journey and that you have been true to yourself, and you haven't always been true to yourself, but it hasn't been your fault. You've had to kind of learn to parse through other people's opinions and other people's ideas and ideals in order to get here. And for that, your past iterations, which I'm seeing multiple of them, have three faces here. Very interesting because we had the Three of Pentacles earlier. These past iterations are coming to affirm that you have been doing the work, that you've been putting in the effort. Now, what I'm curious about is, are things going to change? Is there success for this collective? And I'm getting a Y, so that's a yes. There's also a figure here walking. It's a yes, but we still have to travel down a road a little bit longer. Like, it's not going to be instant success tomorrow, but it is going to be, I think, success faster than you think. We also have a C here. C might be important to you, and an A. And a T, so cat. Maybe some of you need to get a cat, or maybe there's a cat that is a spirit guide, or maybe some of you even transitioned into being an animal soul at some point, and that's kind of why the human experience feels kind of gunky, is because you're like, I really enjoyed being a cat last time. I really appreciated not having to deal with this. But yeah, things are shifting, things are changing. I did just ask internally if this collective is on the right path, and the answer is yes, you are on the right path, but it is a path. You are on a journey. You're moving from one point to the next. And so you're just going to have to be used to there not really being a point of arrival in this lifetime. You might even have some astrological configurations in your natal chart that kind of show that you're kind of in a transitionary phase of your progression. Interestingly enough, this came from the other one, but you have a little goldfish with a really flashy tail here. There is abundance. You are going to experience abundance. Goldfish are a symbol of abundance and fertility and expansion and more. You are going to get things. You are going to experience abundance in this life, but you're going to experience in a way that is unique to you. And it is about you having to do the soul exploration. I don't know why I said that weird, exploration, to discover what success means for you. And I do think you're kind of on that journey. And I think you've done a lot of processing around this based on the cards we got. You had all of those mothers in the energy reading. But now it's time to take that and put it into practical application. Okay, so now if we kind of know what we want to do, or we kind of know what abundance means for us, how do we utilize it and access it moving forward? Oh, this is crazy. We're getting another figure from the last reading in here. So this is like a woman with like a snake's or like a slug tail. You've got some ops from your past lives. There are souls who do not have your best interest at heart, who have it out for you. So if you like, people think I'm suspicious, it's like, well, you kind of have a good reason. I wouldn't suggest becoming like paranoid, but there are people who don't have your best interest. So this is also about learning to hone your intuition and to really, really listen to your gut when it comes to people and dynamics and relationships that should or should not be in your life. Um, we also have a rooster here. Some of you might be quieter, but there is an element of you needing to be loud. Like you're gonna have to be visible in this lifetime to achieve what you want. Doesn't necessarily mean like under the spotlight all the time, but you're gonna have to be okay with being seen. And a part of that is, you're gonna have to put yourself out there a bit. You're not gonna be discovered or receive success without a little bit of risk. We also have a beaver here, so there is an affirmation here about continuing to build on what you have. This is not like a complete and utter reset. It's not a complete change, but you need to build and expand. And I'm hearing engineering. You kind of have to engineer things a bit more, get a little bit more thoughtful, sit down and be like, how can I leverage what I have to get more of what I want rather than playing by a specific playbook or just kind of accepting what comes my way. We also have a little fawn here. While like being a cute little fawn and passivity and your naivete is a beautiful thing, there's also an element of like you can be both. You can be a rooster and you can be loud and you can be out there, and you can also have the parts of yourself that you keep quiet and that you kind of hide away in a little hypothetical glen in the woods. But you need to be multifaceted. You cannot be one thing in this lifetime. If you want to achieve your soul's mission, if you want to progress this soul that we are talking to, which is yours and theirs and everything. Yeah, we also have a fetus again. You know, something in your life has great potential, but it needs to be nurtured and cared for. And you're at the beginning of something fresh and new. Not necessarily completely different because it comes from your body if we're using the imagery here, but you need to believe that what is being born right now is valuable, that it will bring fulfillment, that it will bring hope, that it will bring what you need. Specifically for this group, I don't feel like most of you are being asked to give up on a dream. I think you're just being asked to review it in a different light and look for ways in which you can kind of think outside the box when it comes to this dream moment. We also have like a pretty gnarly beetle here. Beetles protect themselves with their shells and they scurry around and get their shit done. That's kind of what Spirit is saying. You kind of have to lock in. I'm not saying that you haven't been locked in, but like, especially if you're doing energy work or even putting yourself out there, like, it's not necessarily about doing a lot. It's about when you do the things that you do, you really hyper focusing on them in that moment and getting as much done as you possibly can in the time that you have. Rather than constantly going or being consistent. It's not about that. It's about those bursts of energy where you get a lot done. And I think that might work better for a lot of you rather than being like, oh, and I have to be on top of it all the time. No, you just have to be on top of it when you're doing it. We also have a mitten here or a glove. You do need to continue to protect yourself. You do need to continue to take care of yourself. And like this goes for like, a metaphor, but it also goes for like if it's cold outside, put on gloves. If you need sunscreen, please put on sunscreen. Like you are a precious, precious being. You need to be treating yourself like a precious being in order to get the things that a precious being would get. We also have this kind of figure here with a hoodie sitting on like a wall or something. You are in a time of contemplation, and this time of slowdown does not mean that you are not progressing. It means that you are taking the time to integrate what you have already learned in this lifetime. And I think it is important for you to honor that and to not kind of disrupt this period of quietude, because you will delay yourself if you do not respect this time of stasis. Now, stuff is happening behind the scenes that you're just not seeing, partially because you're hunched over on a wall with a hoodie on and probably earphones. Stuff is happening. But it is important that you get right with yourself, that you are working on listening to your body and your intuition. Also, once again, another image from the last reading. We have a small dog here. Small animals might be a sign you might be manifesting getting a small pet or a pet. If you don't have one, or if you see a small animal, it's a sign that you're on the right path, that you're moving in the right direction. Um, so whether you want one or you see one, both of those are signs of your progress along the way. We also have an S here. So the letter S might be quite important. I also just heard serpent. So snakes and snake imagery might be a sign that you see around this time. I'm also getting that not everyone has your best interest at heart. So, please be like, take people at their word to a certain degree, but recognize that most people are still out for themselves. That's just how the human existence is. So, like, don't give away anything that you would feel sorry for losing. I'll say that. But yeah, there is an element here of like, yes, we're on the right path. Yes, we're doing the right thing. Yes, it's been slow. Are we all frustrated? Absolutely. But this has all been necessary to get the soul realigned. It also feels like a lot of this cohort might have had really abrupt deaths or really sudden deaths the last time you all were around. And that does take a bit of recovery from, to be honest. Interestingly enough, we're like getting the outline of like Peppa Pig. And Peppa, from what I know, excuse me while I drink some water, is pretty sassy. And so there's also an element of like, you just need to get, I have a tickle in my throat. I'm not sure why. You just need to get like sassy with it. Now, maybe that's your nature, maybe it's not, but you really got to clap back when people disrespect you. Excuse me. Probably because I did almost 2 readings back to back, also another reading earlier. So like, be Peppa Pig with it, be saucy with it. Um, don't back down when people push your boundaries, when people um, try to bully you, because that's a past rendition of yourself. You are at a stage where you can stand up for yourself, and that's an important lesson for you to learn, because if you don't stand up for yourself, then how are you going to handle the good things that you're hoping for when they come in? Yeah, your past selves are saying you got to toughen up, and I don't think toughen up in the sense of like hardship, but toughen up in the sense of like, when it comes to confrontation with people, you need to advocate for yourself more. You need to hold people more accountable. You need to stand on your own 2 feet and be like, hey, I didn't appreciate that, or we need to talk. We also have a heart here. I do think, and this came through in the other reading as well, I do think that some of you might already have met a divine counterpart. Now, I want to be clear. I think there are multiple, as someone who does past life work, there are multiple divine counterparts and soulmates that you can meet in a lifetime. Now, are some more or less prepared to complete that contract? Absolutely. But there's not necessarily a right or wrong approach to this. However, there is someone out there who is willing to do the work. You might already know them. And if you do, that's a confirmation of you being on your path. And if you don't, they are coming, and they will be a part of your success. So if partnership is something that you want, um, you're being told by your past, present, future, whatever version of yourself you're connecting to the most at this time, probably all of them, that person is there and that you are going to connect and come into union and connection with the other. And if you have already, like I said, that is a sign that you're already well on your way. And if you are questioning if this person that you're already with is the one, I think you would have already known by now. So let that soak in a little bit. But yeah, they're like, you're on the correct path, but it is still a wandering path. Also, there were some setbacks, not necessarily like you going astray or something, but like um you've tried to do some soul contracts, not necessarily romantic, although that is also included, and those soul contracts didn't work out. And so you kind of had to go back to square one to like reform that with someone else, and it has taken time. It's not a waste though. It is now a part of your journey. It's an important part of your journey, but it is, I think your spirits want to kind of recognize that, yeah, it's been frustrating, it's been disappointing to be failed in this way. Also, we have a cane here. Don't be afraid to reach out for support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. um your souls do feel pretty independent, and they're like, well, that only gets us so far. We also have an A here, or a V. Victory is coming through, ascension is coming through. It feels as though that there is a breakthrough. You are not wrong about feeling that kind of sense of something about to shift. When it's about to shift, interestingly enough, in the last reading, we got nines and sixes. So some 9 or 6 combination, 6 months, 9 months, 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 6 days, 9 days. And here's the deal, it can also happen in progression where it starts in 6 to 9 days. You start to feel momentum after 9 to 6 weeks, and then there's a fruition at 6 to 9 months. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, now I have to wait for 6 months for anything to change. No, things are changing all the time. It's just that, like, we live in a world that is ruled by a clock, basically. We also have a zero here. There's also limitless potential. Like, yes, you're operating and functioning on a lot of past life energy and things you need to resolve, but you're also starting and creating new things. And I think it's important to honor the fact that this version of your soul, this situation, this body that you're in, this experience that you have is also bringing new life and new energy into your soul. And you're like, well, it sounds like my other past lives might have had it easier when it came to money. They might have had it easier when it came to money, and I think some of them did, but they didn't have it easier when it came to relationships. They didn't have it easier when it came to feeling loved and cared for. And you're like, Abigail, also see my past. Yes, but you have the potential to have the relational part and to have the financial part. Now, are some of you become millionaires? Maybe not. But I do sense with this cohort that you are going to have enough, and you're going to have more than enough, and specifically you're going to have enough to share, which I think is an important part of your journey. Being able to have an excess so that you can give to others is a way that your soul is going to be healing itself. And so, let that generous side of yours out, obviously within reason, in the sense of like, let it out when you are able to take care of yourself. Don't go sacrificing yourself early and lengthening the time that you have in order to get the things to share with other people. And also, it's totally fine to want to spend it on yourself too. We also have like a child here, and this actually came through in that last little reading too, of where like your child self is also a past version of yourself. And there's something in your childhood, and there's information in your childhood intuition and desires that I think would be helpful at this time. So if you can take a little trip back down memory lane, I think you will find some information about next steps moving forward. You also might have insight into ways in which maybe you reached out to your childhood self as a future self to protect and care for them, which is something I've experienced, and that might be a breakthrough for you. So go back and did you encounter yourself in the psychic realm or in the physical realm as a different iteration of yourself before? Because I wouldn't be surprised if you have. If you have, I was like, which one is it? Haven't? Also, another kind of like baby child figure. I think this is also about treating yourself gently and caring for yourself in this time, not being hard on yourself for the length of time it has taken. Also, not viewing stuff as a major loss simply because it took longer. You're not past your prime, you're not too old, you haven't missed your boat, you're not failing. In fact, you have been thoughtful and you've taken your time, and you're like, yeah, and then I've gotten punished for it. Maybe, but you also are going to find more fulfillment, and you're going to be investing more wisely when you do. And so you're not going to have to readjust as much as people who maybe moved a little faster did. We also have a horse head here. There is a need for you to connect and to um, hone your intuition and listen to yourself. Part of this delay has been you needing to take time to hone your intuition and to listen to your body and to learn to listen to yourself. Because once you get success, if you don't have that skill set, you will burn out, and then you will not have those things. You will have kind of shot your shot, and it's not impossible to come back, but you will have shot your shot and then not had the tools um, to utilize the good things that you have. And I think your guides and your past selves are like, we do not need to do that. We don't need that level of disappointment. We don't need that level of catastrophe and collapse. So be thankful as much as you can in this time. We also have this figure here, kind of like head down off to the side, like wrapped in a blanket. This time of solitude is good for you. You need to rest, you need to slow down. Things are going to take off, and when they do, I'm specifically hearing that time is going to fly and your life will, a little dark, but your life is going to be over before you know it. And so you need to, even if you don't have everything you want now, you need to enjoy the little moments, the creature comforts. And that is a part of your manifesting, is being able to enjoy the moment and harness the energy of the moment to breathe life into, um, we can call it the future, but into a different timeline. But you are on the right path. You are doing the right thing. Is there a bit of reconsideration and like reconnecting to purpose that needs to be done so that you can fulfill your mission of, I'm hearing, of being aligned and attuned to what is best for you, not just going after stuff because it is attainment or achievement or is going to give you plaudits from other people, but going after stuff because it's innately what your soul wants, because it's what your soul is called to do. It is what you desire to do. Um, and that is more important than any success, even though you will be successful in this because it is what your soul needs to do. Now, is it still going to take a little bit of time? Yes, but you can start. I'm hearing you can start winning today. And you've already started winning. You're just not quite aware of it yet. But it is going to come and it is going to happen. And you are going to succeed. You just need to loosen up what you think success necessarily is, because it is not because success is going to be less. It's because I think success can be more, and your kind of limited imagination is keeping you from an even greater future. And you know, once you open yourself up to more, we have a fish here, which is about abundance, which is about plenitude and, um, having an excess of things. You think you're dreaming big, but you're not dreaming big enough. I think you can ask for more. A lot of times when we don't get what we want, we're like, well, maybe I should ask for less. And no, it's like, maybe you should ask for more, because maybe the universe is like, well, that was a small ask. Like, are you sure that's what you want to shoot your shot on? And so before I blow this out, what's really coming through is your past, present, future versions of you want you to stay true to yourself, want you to believe that you deserve more, and to embrace the slow times, because they are in preparation and they are a charge for when things are going to pick up, which is going to happen quite soon. I'm hearing. Like I said, we're looking at kind of groups of sixes and nines. Anyways, I'll blow this out before I burn my fingies off. Um, but yeah, there's a bigger, broader future coming for your soul. And also, I think this is a reminder that, like, yes, this lifetime is important, and yes, you have to literally viscerally feel it, but there are going to be lifetimes that come after, before, and during this that are also important. And so, while I don't want to minimize what is happening now, it is a reminder that, like, the big moments aren't just this moment, and there's more on either side. And so if something is feeling overwhelming or something is feeling, constricting or impossible, know that it will change, know that it is going to shift, and that your souls have a higher purpose for you and have a broader vision of a future that you can have together. Also, we still have this figure here that was wrapped in a blanket, but now it's kind of surrounded by clouds. And I think there's an element of, like, you have transcended before and you will transcend. And while we are in this kind of finite environment, it's still pretty warm, finite environment, that feels so perpetual, there is an unlimited amount of energy and magic at your disposal to shift your timeline at any time. And while we do have to live through the physical representation of that, it is not impossible. And so I encourage you to believe in bigger things, to believe in better things, to imagine your future as already having occurred and as a set of beautiful, pristine, magical memories where happiness and abundance abound, because that will be the life that you will step into if you imagine it. Anyways, my loves, your many versions of yourself have many big dreams and desires for you, and they believe in you and they believe in your ability to shift and change, and they don't see any of the detours or seemingly detours and paths that you have taken as a loss. They know that it is a part of your soul learning its lesson, of your soul wrapping up various streams of karma and of energetic connection to others. And know that there is a message here of other and more rich connections coming through, whether it be friendship or someone at your work or a lover. There are other karmic connections coming through that are going to be less of a lesson than the ones that you've previously experienced. You're not doomed to constantly only experience lessons. You are also going to experience joy and connection. Anyways, my loves, that is my reading for you. I hope that it was helpful, and I hope that you, after this reading, you will feel a stronger and deeper connection to the multidimensional versions of yourself. And I wish you many blessings, and I